Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I just finished a couple of virtual tours up in the Lake Louise area, and indeed I'm looking up towards the valley where Lake Louise, the famous lake, is, and then over to the Valley of the Ten Peaks, where famous Moraine Lake is located, and then over to spectacular Mount Temple Mountain, it's one of the reasons I ski so much at Lake Louise ski area, because I get to look at that mountain. The reason I've stopped here, well, I think it's probably self-evident, but look at the incredible turquoise water in the Bow River. But I am at a very specific place here known as Morant's Curve. So I'm only about 10 minutes drive from access to the Lake Louise ski area at least, and into the village of Lake Louise. But this image goes right back to the early days of Canadian Pacific promoting Canada. And Morant's Curve is where a famous photograph was taken of a Canadian Pacific train bending around this curve, and it said, "Come to Canada, Canadian Pacific," and it was still trying to attract people to immigrate to this land. But this is the original 1A, what's now the 1A highway, the original Trans-Canada Highway. In fact, you'll see clouds way down in the distance. That is looking down to Vermilion Pass and into British Columbia. That was the original Trans-Canada. The only way to get out here until the 1960s, this bit of road was built out here by forced labor in World War I, which I will carry on to show you a little bit about. But the road did not descend down into British Columbia until the 1960s. So people would travel out to Lake Louise by train and even take a narrow gauge train up into the valley. But this is Morant's Curve. If you ever fancy coming cycling, this road is just made for it. Quiet, beautiful, and often full of wildlife. So I'd just like to carry on and make a couple of more quick stops along this way. I cannot really do a virtual tour here just because I don't get the reception down in these sections. So I thought we'd make a little YouTube video. Thank you for connecting. So I've traveled another, 15 kilometers down this beautiful parkway here. Lovely clear day, a little bit of smoke in the air, but it is gorgeous. But I did want to make a stop. I'm down below Castle Mountain. Famously looks like a castle, long story about that. They tried to name it Mount Eisenhower, and basically we had none of it. But this is why this road exists, because I'm just a little ways now from Castle Junction, where the original road went. But this was one of Canada's first concentration camps. So it's important to remember that after the First Nations were removed from this national park, then forced labor during World War I was brought here to build these roads. World War II, of course, Canada interned the Japanese, or Japanese Canadians. World War I, they were Eastern Europeans, principally Ukrainians. And as we say in history, if you don't know where you've come from, you don't know where you're going. So here's a chance to look at the legacy of their labor. So 600 men who were put into this camp, who were brought here to build the road as we know it today. And so one of the most beautiful settings anywhere in the world, if I do say so myself. But here is just a memory. And look how much they are remembered. And I love this statue because it simply says, why? So I highly recommend everyone comes and visits Bow Valley Parkway. Half of the road from near Banff up to the junction is closed more than it's open now, but it's wonderful for cycling. This section onto Lake Louise is spectacular, great for cycling. I've seen people roller skiing and training, but let's remember where the history comes from. Just because I never like to fully finish a video, I've stopped up at Storm Mountain, and there indeed is Storm Mountain, just over 3,000 meters, 10,000 feet. But up above me there is Vermilion Pass, goes up over the Continental Divide, down into British Columbia, and eventually 104 kilometers onto Radium Hot Springs. So just a gorgeous spot. And there is the river, just full of beautiful color down through here. And then turn around and I will give you a quick view of Castle Mountain in all its glory. So William Lyon Mackenzie King, longest serving Prime Minister in Canadian history, and sort of a weirdo, arbitrarily changed the name to Mount Eisenhower. Well, Ike on a state visit never come to say hi to the mountain, so we changed the name back to Castle Mountain, and the front peak is Eisenhower's Peak. This is the most westerly of the front ranges, so the east ranges of the Canadian Rockies. And that is older rock above younger rock as it's pushed up and over in this huge fault formation. So pretty spectacular. But I just give you one more view back across the way down into the gorgeous river there. We're lucky to have these viewpoints, but this one wasn't plowed until late in May this year. But come up and have a picnic if you fancy at some point. And then if you're really lucky, you could maybe even see a lynx up here. So there we are. Someone cycling up the road in the distance. Ah, it's perfect for cycling. In fact, I think I have a plan now that the air is clearing out. We've had terrible forest fire smoke. Take care, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk to you soon.